What is going on, everyone? I hope you're having an amazing Christmas day, but just because it's Christmas, it doesn't mean there's not going to be 2 fresh new uploads on the channel. So let's get into the first. You just assaulted the Chief Operating Officer's son. I used to work in a summer student program at a Fortune 500 company that hired around 150 interns from May to August. The work itself was pretty monotonous, but for the most part, everyone was pretty warm towards the interns, save for Jamie. Jamie was a plump woman in her mid-40s, working in a team supervisor role, 2 levels above entry level, in the operations department for about a decade. Now, I don't know whether it was that she'd been working at this level for too long, or she just didn't like the young faces, but she was an absolute bitter wench to the interns. Aside from calling us little idiots, brats, tards, and a slurry of other abusive language, she would also ask interns who weren't even on her team to do random tasks for her. This ranged from grabbing her papers from the copier, which was literally 20 feet from her desk, running errands, and demanding we drop what we're doing and make a coffee for her. Now, out of respect, most if not all of the interns on the floor would comply to prevent a scene, but she had this idea in her head that since she was a supervisor, she was all of our bosses. She would constantly leave her desk to walk the floor and monitor the summer students, spitting slurs at us if she caught us as much as glance away from our monitors. In contrast to this, she would constantly brown-nose the managers and senior managers, trying to curry favor by helping take care of the interns. Suffice to say, she was an angst-filled idiot. But me myself, I was a quiet young lad who hated unnecessary attention from others. So I didn't openly volunteer that my mum was the Chief Operating Officer. She worked up on the executive floor, so I rarely saw her aside from occasionally at lunch and carpooling. So aside from her upper management friends, few people knew I was her son. So all was well until the end of my first month. It was sometime in the morning when Jamie stopped me on my way from the bathroom and demanded that I stop wasting time and get me a coffee from the kitchen with 2 stevia and 2 milk. Not being the confrontational type, I went and made it as asked for, with maybe just a smidge of extra milk in it. When I brought it to her, she half yelled, "Finally!" grabbed it and sipped it. She then said, "It's wrong!" and shoved it back in my face with enough force to dislodge the cheap lip and spill coffee all over my dress shirt. She yelled something at me, but I couldn't hear it as I felt the coffee. To be honest, I'm kinda glad I added the extra milk, because the scalding hot magma would have been so much worse without it. I freaking screamed and ran to the bathroom crying, taking off my shirt to get water on my burns. My upper chest was so red, I immediately called my mum, sob-explaining what just happened. My mum whipped downstairs, came to the bathroom, pulled me out, and was greeted by 3 large security guards. She told me to point who did it, and point I did. What followed was my mum telling one guard to call 911 and the other 2 detaining Jamie for assaulting an employee. Jamie's face was flushed and she screamed like a banshee as security apprehended her. She kicked and screamed all the way to the elevator. Police came, got the videotapes, corroborated my story, and she was taken in. All cool, but the icing on the cake was that she was originally going to be charged with 2nd-degree assault, but the interns were interviewed about her and confirmed that she was actually abusive to us. This was proof of premeditation, so her charges were raised to 1st-degree assault. I hope prison treats you better than you treated the interns, Jamie. Yes, 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 these are the stories that you love to see. It's all well and good on this subreddit seeing someone that didn't think somebody else worked at an establishment find out that they actually worked there, but the stories are so much better when we see the justice and karma for their rude actions. This story is the perfect example of that. She probably is going to go to prison for assault. That's unbelievably good. Now guys, before we get into our next story, I just want to say to you all, we are now so close to 250,000 subscribers. At the time of recording, we're literally 3,000 subscribers away from 250,000. It would be so insane to hit that on Christmas Day. For those of you that watch my videos and don't subscribe, please today just consider subscribing. I mean, look at this chart. Look how many of you are watching that aren't subscribed. If just a small handful of you that are in this section move over to this section, we'll hit 250k and it will be absolutely incredible. With that being said, let's get into our second story. Fastest rise and fall in employment history. Guy hired gets fired before he can start over coffee. I don't remember the guy's name, but I do remember many of our local staff knew him from the neighborhood. He came in and mentioned that Jay said to stop by for an interview. I had answered the door and took him to the office manager. We were a family-owned business and did everything face-to-face, not online. He comes in and meets my office manager. They have a conversation about past work experience, how he operates, etc. I'm in the room just up the steps making a pot of coffee. I'm about 15 to 20 feet from them and I can hear everything. He's a little over the top, but I figured he was trying to impress us. Our office had 3 floors. The top floor was an employee's break room, kitchen, shower, and 3 desks/workstations. The manager is happy with what he hears from the guy as far as work goes. He tells him he's hired and tells him he'll show him the office and introduce him to everyone. Coffee was done. I called down to the manager because I knew he'd want a cup and offered the new guy one too. I get a cup, manager gets a cup, new guy gets a cup. The new guy pitches a fit because he doesn't like strong coffee. He pours his out in the sink, gets the pot, and pours that into the sink. My manager looks at me as if to ask which one of us should kill this guy. We're a 24/7 operation and we all love our coffee. It's our lifeblood and we all make it in the exact same way. In fact, it was the office manager that taught me how to make coffee when I started drinking it. The new guy now goes on a rant about how weaker coffee has more caffeine and how things are going to change, and he'll teach me the right way to do things. Note that lighter roasts of coffee are higher in caffeine. The longer you roast the coffee beans, the more caffeine burns off. How strong you brew your coffee is a matter of taste. Okay. I let him brew a pot. It looked like lemonade. It had a yellow tint to it and did not resemble any coffee I'd ever seen. The new guy held it up to show us and we could clearly see him through the pot. FYI, I don't care if that's what he liked. It was his condescending attitude that raised flags. He's no longer over the top, he's now obnoxious. The manager tells him he should probably shut up if he really wants the job. He brushes off the manager and then tells him we'll learn a lot working with him. I said, wanna bet? He took offense to my tone and laid into me, ended with a, who the F are you anyway? My manager says he's the owner, so he's your boss. I looked at the manager and told him he's half right. No way I want that guy working for me, and fired him. He was literally hired and fired in less than 15 minutes. We talked about this guy for years. Truth be told, I'm glad we found out he was not a good fit before he caused bad feelings among the crew. Holy heck, this must be the fastest hiring and firing in the history of employment. I wish OP had told us how he had reacted to finding out that you were the owner. Oh my goodness me. An ego that big? I have no idea how he might have responded. To be fair to you, I know you said it wasn't the way he made coffee that made you fire him, it was just how obnoxious he was, but someone who makes coffee that way? That's an instant firing for me. I just find these stories so weird. Like, who are these employees? If I've just been given a job, I'm gonna be so nice to you, so careful, so generous, I'll do anything to make sure I make a good impression. Like, yeah, over time I may become evil, but not at first. Who are these people? These are my car keys. I worked for Macy's for a seasonal position when I was about 19. The fashion jewelry department to be precise. Basically, I worked with all the non-precious jewels. It was merely a step above costume jewelry, but nevertheless. The place was locked down. We had keys for all the cases, and they were not to leave the floor at any point. If we went on break, went to pee, or went to leave, we had to leave them with the fine jewelry department, who literally had to scan them in and out. It was ridiculously monitored. At the end of the night, not only did we have to put everything in the safe, we had to help find jewelry cover cases, set alarms, and literally set traps with a rope. It was an ordeal. Well, one day I worked morning shift as I had a doctor's appointment in the afternoon. It had been a long shift and I finally finished out counting my drawer. So I headed to the back to sign out my keys. They were scanned, I was ready to go. Just as I'm walking out to leave, a middle-aged woman who is staring down at one of the cases snaps at me. Yes, with her fingers to get my attention. I'd like to see this bracelet. I noticed the one employee that took over for me is with a customer. Oh, I'll go grab someone for you. She looks annoyed, but before she can say anything, I rush towards the back of the store. It's swamped with people, yay holidays, but my manager is there and she's pretty cool and hands-on. So I tell her that I'm leaving for an appointment, but there's a woman in the front who needs help. She tells me she'll be right there and I head back to the customer. She will be right with you. I go to walk out and she exclaims, "Excuse me, but I told you I wanted to see this bracelet." I understand that, but I had to grab someone because I don't have the keys to open the case and I'm leaving my shift. You have keys right there. Stop being lazy and open the case. Mind you, there are 2 keys on a hook hanging around my belt loop. Oh, these are... I just don't understand why you can't do a simple job. It's not like I'm asking you to do much. You just push the key in and turn the lock. Hand me the bracelet. I'm just tired now. Mom. At this point, she's not yelling, but she's not being quiet either, and my confused manager approaches us. Is everything okay over here? Are you her manager? Yes, I am. What seems to be the problem? This associate brushed me off when I asked her to see a bracelet, and now she's refusing to help me. I went to grab you for help as I have already turned in my keys. She's lying. She has keys right there. Fed up, I unhook the clamp from around my belt and hold up the keys she's referencing. Mom, I'm leaving. These are my car keys. My manager, who is now visibly as annoyed with this customer as I am. OP, go to your appointment. Mom, show me which bracelet you're so eager to get your hands on. Oh, you know what? I bet this woman, after being so entitled, didn't even buy anything either, for goodness sake. Anyway, guys, that is going to do it for my first video on Christmas Day. I really hope you've enjoyed it if you are watching on the big day itself. I just want to say I hope you're having a wonderful, wonderful day with your family, friends, whoever you happen to be with. If not, and the day's not going as well as you might have hoped, don't worry, just watch another one of my videos and that will soon cheer you up. So don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for 2 videos each and every day throughout the month of December.